Today, we're going to have a very unusual guest, and we have left it up to the stars to not try to control what happens today, but delve into the interesting aspects that many of you do know about her. Her name is Robbin Leigh Hill. If that rings a bell in the military segments or some of the other observers of her life, then I suggest you might enjoy every moment of what we have to present today. I'm going to do a little shout out to my people in Hurley, Wisconsin, my little hometown, where this is going to be foreign language to them, but I do hope that they will watch. So with that, please let me bring in Robbin. Hi, honey.
Mahalo, Kathleen.
Yeah, and I feel very privileged today because she is willing to be interviewed by me and not by most other people. And so I consider that a great privilege, and I thank you for that, Robbin.
I am grateful as well. That is a true statement. It is somewhat of a historic broadcast that we are delivering today.
Yes. And would you kind of give our audience a capsule of what it is that you are today, and then I would like to go into the past a little bit and bring them into how this all occurred, because who she is a very, very unusual being. We can't exactly call you just a human being because...
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh.
So, should I
Please
start?
do.
Thank you. So, this actually is a big deal for myself and for my close counterparts, comrades, and family members. I've not come out on camera like this before, and it wasn't wanted unless the state of things had gotten to where they are, unless the conditions were exactly where they are now. I was born in 1974, and I thought I was like a normal being for most of my life. And I didn't know that there was anything different about me. My heart felt different. I could tell that my heart was a little different just growing up in comparison to other people. But I didn't actually know that how much different I was, how much different I am, and then what that meant until 2014. In 2014, I had a wake-up call, and pictures started showing up where my physicality was disappeared, and where you could see things behind me, or where I would pick up the elements. Some of you might think alien versus predator here. This is a close encounter of the heavenly kind. Let me be very clear.
I love that term.
I can pick up things around me. There's pictures of me with my face half plasmid, with plasma around my skin. This is not any special cameras or anything. These are civilians, if you will. Some of them my friends, some of them when I've spoken for freedom at various events. They've captured these things on camera. And then tens of thousands of CCTV kind of footage that caught the attention of many honorable men and women in military and intelligence globally. And yes, there's other factions out there. There's a lot of really honorable men and women. Otherwise, I would not even be able to make this address today.
Wow.
So there's great gratitude for this. There is, you cannot have beings changing shape and transfiguring without it catching some attention in this time or really any time.
Wow. That's interesting that you'd bring that up because I have also, and that may be why our connection is so strong. But I was in deep meditation and ceremony, and I was clicking the camera, and I was there, and then I wasn't there. All the, the whole background was there, but I wasn't.
I remember you telling me this.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like, okay. Indicators, I'm not sure, but I assume that this is part of the demonstration to ourselves.
Correct.
So that we know that we're here for a higher purpose, and a lot of what we've endured, and I know you have endured so much interference. Do you want to speak about a little bit of that?
Yes, I do, because there's an overriding message about what man means for evil is going to be used for good. So yes, I am. And I want to be thoughtful here. In this time, there are special purpose beings. That's the term I use. These are beings who sit in various groups of civilian groups. They're in military, they're in intelligence, they're in government, they're definitely at Tesla Tech. They're in all walks of life as we leave feet. And they are here to help your ascension. They are here to, some are here literally, their entire job is to hold a certain frequency so other beings can come in. Their entire job is to anchor in portals or grid lines to make it easier for some of us to do what we need to do. It's all symbiotic. It's all very well thought out. There's no misstep here. You are dealing with an orchestration to help the entire ascension of the planet and the human race plus. And in this, you have beings like myself who have what I call spiritual math. So you can pick up, and this is a big statement, and this is a big statement that is easily provable, which makes it not bold, it only makes it factual. So you can pick up some of our spiritual math and you can look in the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, and many other texts, and even with the numbers at Giza. And shout out to Jason Bashairs at Archaics, who's the best chronologist on the planet. I recommend everybody be watching his channel to know what time it is and what's going on. See, the reality is that the entire planet, to the greatest of degrees, it does not matter how studied, how this, how that, where you grew up under an enslavement system, period. All your history, all your learneds, all your teachings, all your religious stuff, there's some truth that got through. Most of it is hacked up. Anything that would keep you separate, anything that would cause you to believe that you were born from an angry, bloodletting God who wants blood sacrifice, that's a complete lie. It's a complete hack up. You're born from love, and you are born free. This is a tenet of your birthright. And with equity, equally loved, always. These things are the reality. People have put that asunder, and you have grown up in a system, so did your parents, so did their parents, so did their parents, where you weren't told the truth and you didn't even have access to it. So in this time where there is a split, some will say it's the left behind. It's not how people think that it is. In the Hopi prophecy, in the Mayan prophecy, they talk of a time, that time is now, where things go like this and where you have a moral decision to be made. In this, there are beings like myself who hold spiritual math, if you will, to where if you wanted to look up who our beingness was, our birth dates, or this or that, you can easily do so. There is a hierarchy that people have been waiting for, and it's here now, along with whole hosts as far as east as to west to help with your ascension. So to this end, some of our bloodlines, which unbeknownst to me, I didn't know why there were so many life or death scenarios running around in my life, most of my life, because my wake-up call wasn't until 2014, and I still barely knew anything until 2020. So some of our bloodlines have been tracked. They've been tagged, they've been tracked. They were expecting certain beings to come through certain bloodlines. They're looking for the O negative. They're looking for the M's on the hand. They're looking for this. They're looking for the Welsh. They're looking for the Celtic. They're looking. Who's looking? There is like a globalist, some will say cabal force with other entities. Okay, that's true. And causing a lot of harm for special purpose beings. Okay, that's true. Some. But this is where, and this is what I want all of you to remember, because this time is rough. You're in the middle of a war. The ascension process, in the ways that it is looking now, because it never goes back. This is it. You are living through the foretold time and the most important time in humanity's existence. And while that could cause, I don't know, something, what it should cause isn't fear. It should cause excitement. It should cause strength. It should cause a knowing, because you didn't get here during this time by accident. And this group's trying to war, and this group's trying to war, and this group's trying to do this. But you got here, and you came here, and you were a part of the greatest freedom to men, women, and children that existence will ever see. And you are not alone. You have beings all over the world here for you. You have heaven's finest here for you. You've got Galactus' finest. You've got interdimensional's finest for you. Because it's time for your freedom. And it's time for your brothers and sisters' freedom. And it's time that the most innocent of these grow up in a world where peace and knowing their worth, which is everything, is the standard. So back to your question, to this end, some of us have been hunted, tagged, tracked, tried to be blown up, planes going down, stuff implanted, this, that, and the other. That's true. So I wish to give a few shout outs in this. Some people know some of the things I've been through. It's been extra, to be fair. I would not have been able to bear it if I didn't have such a strong A-team, you know, like Heavenly Host and other benevolent host teams watching out in all the places. I always say, and this is an invite, but I always say, no one's a lucky shot. Like if I go out, it's because I decided. I decided where I don't leave feet to take myself out because it's going to be better. I just want to make sure I put that back on camera. So, and that's actually proven by my life. I've been exceptionally hunted, if you will. That's the only word that's accurate. And part of that is because people knew the bloodlines. And then in 2014, things went a little escalated for me. And that's when I started transfiguring on camera. I started disappearing on camera. Ships started showing up. And now, I didn't even believe in angels, and I didn't believe in extraterrestrials during this. So it was all very traumatic wake-up call. But it was meant for me to know that all these things exist. And then it took me years to assimilate all that knowledge.
I can imagine.
So when this stuff started happening, I really didn't know what was going on. But I knew just source in myself. Just source in myself. Don't seek outside anything. And then at around the same time, pictures, and this, maybe we can flash some pictures up. So pictures started showing up behind my camera. I'm not known for taking a lot of pictures. I certainly wasn't in the place to want to take a bunch of pictures then. I would pull out my camera or my phone and know to capture something, and there wouldn't be anything there. But stuff would appear. And I would know to close my eyes and be very prayerful, because when these things started happening in 2014, and there's rainbows coming through me, and then I'm disappeared, I had stuff placed on my heart. And while my heart's generally been more sensitive, comparatively speaking, than most of the people around me, from what I could tell, other things I didn't pay attention to. Like I didn't even recycle. Like in 2014, I wasn't a being that recycled. I grew up in Memphis, and I grew up in other places, and sorrowfully, I didn't do anything like that. Well, all of a sudden, and thankfully this generation hears it more, but if you were raised in my generation and people aren't recycling, and instead you're literally drinking the Kool-Aid, that's what you do, right? I was raised on John Hughes films and takeout pizza. That's what I did. And so in 2014, when this was happening, I kept having stuff placed on my heart, care that I didn't have, and one was for the environment.
Wow.
And so I went from not recycling to recycling. I stopped eating meat, and I started like picking up trash everywhere I could on the beach and stuff. Although I did do some of that before because I can't stand litter. So I started doing stuff like that, and I kept feeling this call on my heart, and I knew I was being called for something, although I didn't understand. So that's when I gave my life in service with feet, not knowing that there was a preordainment. I didn't know that for a long time. Or other names or anything like that associated. So I have this tug on the environment, and so I give my life in service in the summer of 2014. And then what happened next, I could not have bet on, I could not have guessed on. And part of what happened next was a series of images that came behind pictures meant to help wake humanity up. So there's very specific images. One is of 2 white horses, and these white horses appeared in smoke, and I knew to get up the smoke, and I knew to pray, and this is in Los Angeles in 2014, and I didn't know what was going to appear, and you see one horse forming, then the other, and in smoke, the horses come from the air down to the ground like this. I did not find out for 2 years that the time date stamp of that picture matches up to the verse in Revelation about the white horses in the sky.
That's totally freaking me out because I had a very powerful dream of exactly that, that they were coming from the sky, coming over the horizon. That's, excuse me, whoa, that just blew my mind. And that dream was so powerful. I knew how powerful that dream was. And now you're just talking about that? Oh, excuse me. Oh, please. I mean, that dream was so significant. I knew that was because I have a lot of precognistic dreams since I was little and all that, but this was a profound dream. And I just woke up and I was like, my gosh, the white horses.
The white horses. It's a real signification.
Yeah,
in this time.
and like clouds behind them. Oh, okay, wasn't ready for that one. Wow.
I actually didn't. So here's how the story goes. This is actually a great story.
Okay.
So I didn't know what was going to be taken. It was my son. I knew it was his hands that were supposed to be behind the camera. And my wake-up call was pretty traumatic. Like, there's not another way to say it. And it was I became very different. I was praying all the time. I was trying to honor all the time. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that there was a time sensitivity to it. And that I needed to spend most of my days and nights trying to honor this and learn. And in this, lots of miracles, what people will call miracles. And the reason why I put quotes around the term miracle is because what man thinks of as the term miracle, well, that's you, and that's what you're made from. It's only the ability with these skin suits to be able to see and know that, because you can walk around in a world where everything feels like that. That in terms of what most of you think of as like a miracle from various holy books, during the summer of 2014, surrounding me, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of miracles, including people's lives saved, occurred while I was trying to honor this journey. So there's tons of witnesses to everything that's being said. There's pictures, there's all these things. There's so much proof. In fact, there's proof coming out of proof, coming out of proof, coming out of proof. So proof isn't a problem. So, and one thing about that, some have challenged me with that. Well, why would there be so much proof? Why isn't faith enough? Well, in this day and age where people are being poisoned and you don't even have your own cognition, hardly at all, where there's thousands of drops of things trying to manipulate your consciousness, and where people have been systemically lied to for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and it's embedded, we thought you needed a little more proof. We thought that would be a loving thing, is just to keep giving proof in numbers, proof in this, proof in pictures about what time it is and how loved you are and how much you have not been forgotten. You've not only not been forgotten, you're being fought for. And can is what you're made from. And so the world is going, most of the world, to a place of can, to a place of peace and freedom that never gets shaken down again. That's where things are going. And just by virtue of the fact that you're watching this, we're already on our way.
Wow. I mean, Robbin, the way you're speaking is so brilliantly articulate, and something that in this current time that we're in, because there's so much chaos and so much negativity and so much separation, and it seems to many that we're going down the tubes and there's no hope. And what you're delivering is something that inspires and gives people like a footing about possibility that we would love to live into. And one of the things you talked about, and we talked about before we came on the air, was transfiguration as opposed to shape-shifting. And can you make that distinction for our audience? Because a lot of people have, put a negative connotation on shape-shifting, which we've heard a lot about with certain...
Reptiles.
Yeah.
Lizards.
Okay, watch this. Oh, no, just kidding.
Lizard people. No offense if you're a lizard people. You're just doing your thing. We get it.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm so connected to the lizards. They stop and run to me, and when I come to my shop, it's like they wait for me, and then they come and they play with me. It's like so bizarre.
Actually, you brought up something that is so important. I'm going to finish the white horse picture story, and then I want to get there because we're going to talk about lizard people, and there's various classifications. We're going to talk about archons. We're going to talk about some things just a little bit to put it in the right frame of reference. Everyone's walking around with fear and, oh, it's the this group, it's the Anunnaki, it's this group. No, it's what you feed grows. That's it. What you feed grows, whether it's a demon or a Satan or this or that, what you feed grows. One of the reasons why I can do what I do, I have massive force fields of protection. Actually, at Tesla Tech, they caught a force field around me with special cameras, an entire force field around me. And there's like entire force fields have been caught around me on camera. So that's true. So let me just state that's true. There's also honorable men and women that care about what's going on and what needs to happen with freedom once and for all come to fruition. And there's honorable men and women behind the scenes that watch out for me and that watch out for a lot of other beings that are trying to positively affect things on the planet, and with massive gratitude for this. Those of you who are out there who don't understand that for some of us, and for some in military and intelligence, paramilitary, things of this nature, it's a war within a war right now. You only see what you see on TV, most of you. But there is a spiritual war and reckoning, and there's wars behind the scenes. So beyond gratitude to all the men and women who help keep my family and I and other families safer than and safe in many different ways. I want to go back to this, which you feed grows. So I'm the founder of the Global Freedom Alliance. It should really be like global and galactic, but it's Global Freedom Alliance. And there's a lot of people with a lot of technology to help humanity that previously it wasn't the right conditions to come out because everyone would have been murdered, the technology would have been shelved, this, that, and the other.
People have been, as we know.
And a lot of people have been in a rash most recently as well. Okay, we're not feeding that. Understand, what you feed grows. So I feed freedom for the tech. I feed freedom for the knowledge. I feed freedom for the children. I feed freedom for humanity. That's the only thing I feed. And when you get to the point where that's all that you feed, all this, oh, it's archon, it's this, it's the this, it starts dropping out of consciousness because you're starving it. And when you starve it, it's harder to latch on to your brothers and sisters. So that's a point that everyone can do right now.
That's so important.
It's so important, and people will have you focused, and this group will, oh, the aliens are coming here, the aliens. You made from Can, you made from the Most High. You got heavenly hosts and the most benevolent beings with feet on the ground. There's nothing but Can happening here.
Now, when you say Can, explain that.
Can, like C-A-N. Can is what you're made from. Can this happen? Yes. Can we have better days? Yes. Can there be freedom for all beings? Yes. Can. Can this tide turn as fast as possible? Can.
Oh my God. Years ago, I created because I love making things, right? I created a big, the biggest cans. I called it the I Can. And I had a whole little ritual where you tap the top of the can. Maybe we should recreate
I love that.
I know. Of course, it's an empty can. It's like a little drum. But you just tap the big top. It's completely sealed. And, graphics around the can. I can. Oh, my God.
I love that. We're going to have to do that next interview.
Oh.
So...
But did we cover the fully the white horses?
No, that's what we're going back to. And this is a perfect segue. Thank you. So when I had my wake up call, it was all shades of what? Like earmuffs. What the bleep is going on? And thankfully there were witnesses. So for my wake up call specifically, it's not like this for other people's, but for mine was so, there's interdimensional beings, there's ships, there's the black helicopters from the military. And all over Kauai, people were talking about because Kauai and the Hawaiian Islands in general are known for, interdimensional hellos. Interdimensional stopping points and welcome wagons and things like that. So it's not unusual to see a lot of ship and aircraft or craft, interdimensional craft activity, or even beings in the islands and in Sedona, which is where this is being filmed. So it's not unusual. Actually, there are certain ley lines where there's a lot of congregation of special purpose beings, if you will. And these, again, are beings that were preordained, that came here on mission. So that's the difference. These are on mission beings that were willing to go through anything, be born into any situation, be put through anything in order to help you, as far as east is to west, period. So when this happened, like with the black helicopters and the ships, it became the talk of Kauai. Now, people around Kauai see stuff. I didn't know this, but I'm very pragmatic. I'm very logical. I used to be in banking and tax law. And people were saying, is that you? Did you see what's happening on top of the cliffs on Kauai in 2014? Did you hear about that? And I'm like, no, that's me and my family. And it was kind of like that. It was scary. And it was all the things. In my case, there were witnesses placed at almost every single situation, which I'm so grateful of because I'm a very pragmatic, very logical cat. And I didn't realize the full scale and scope of the journey. So a few months after that, in November 2014, I know that there's some pictures that want to be taken. I know it. I'm in prayer almost day and night by now. Once I gave my life in service, which was the week of September 11th, 2014, that's what I spent most of my days and nights doing, is just trying to understand. And it was a Donnybrook. It was not a pretty wake-up call, nor was it pretty going through some of this stuff. Period. It wasn't pretty. And so now I'm in the little place that we're renting in Santa Monica, and I know that there's supposed to be a picture taken. Now keep in mind, the pictures that had been taken previous, the picture of Ishua after 3 nights of a bath of clay and salt, and that was my bath, where an image of Ishua formed in clay, salt, and water, and honey shampoo and turmeric over 3 prayerful nights. By this time, the image of Pele on a respirator with a snaky arm of greed, and the Mo'o, the interdimensional race, had already come out on camera. By this time, some of these things had already occurred. So when I know to take a picture, which is very rare, it's a very serious thing, because the picture of Pele on a respirator being held down by a snaky arm of greed, by the elders that I've spoken to, the Kapuna in Hawaii, it's the strongest picture symbolism to show the fight for the islands in existence, according to what I've been told. So these things, and it's the first time the Mo'o, the interdimensional race, has actually come out on camera like this. So I knew that when I was meant to take a picture, it was a very serious and sacred thing. And some people actually keep that image of Pele up. They feel like it protects their homes. So maybe we flash that. It's not for the faint of heart. It's a whoa, and it's a whoa, we're really being fought for. Whoa, this is unmistakable. So the image, this wake-up call, comes with people that have spiritual math, but also we gave images as well. Images have showed up behind certain people's cameras to let you know exactly what's going on. This is above your religious books. This is above your indoctrination. This is above these kinds of things. With respect to all those things, because that's a part of where you've been, and now this wake up is a part of where you're going and how you can help the younger generations see clearly and navigate a peaceful, thoughtful, loving, and free path. So back to the white horses. So I dousing myself in holy oils. I've got like a scarf on. I've got more frankincense on. You could have had 12 wise men.
Yeah.
And I know, go outside and get up smoke. So I like get up a lot of smoke. Okay, so I've got cloves. Not recommending them, but sometimes I did them. I've got cloves. I've got Palo Santo, I've got incense, and I think something else. And then I know to ask my son to take a picture. And at this time, my journey was upsetting to the people closest to me, obviously, because I became so different. And all of a sudden, my only track is what I need to do to help in the larger ways with the environment and everything else. So the way the white horse pictures came about is very unique and special on their own. So at this point in time, some amazing things had already shown up behind camera. And one was the image of Ishua that appeared after 3 nights of a very prayerful bath, where I put clay and salt and turmeric and Burt's Bees honey shampoo and one other ingredient. I think I'm missing clay, salt. Oh, holy oils. Holy oils. And I would literally close my eyes. By this point, I was able...
No sage?
No.
Wow, okay.
By this point, with my wake-up call came very unique and significant gifts. I was able to navigate without sight. I know a few other beings on the planet that can do so. I could literally blindfold myself. I could drive cars. I could navigate anywhere. And so because I'm pragmatic, I actually had this tested with people. So they would blindfold me, they would hide things, they'd put up obstacle courses, and I would have to literally navigate completely without physical sight. So, and I was able to start transmuting elements and things of this nature. But at that point in time, I didn't even know what the word transmutate meant. I was just like, well, why can I do this? How can I do this? So some of that was, let's say cool, but in combination with all the other stuff and the interference, it was just all kind of too much for me. So, but I'm faithful and kept trying and trying. So when I realized that certain things were showing up behind camera, I took it extra serious. And I didn't go out and take pictures every day, only when I knew a picture should be taken and I would get certain feelings. And now I'm in prayer most of my waking hours. So my ability of discernment and spiritual checks and balances inside my own system is getting more advanced strongly for where I need to be at for my journey, even though I still understood hardly anything for years and years and years. So I end up one day knowing in November 2014, I know to douse with holy oils. I put on a scarf. I get up, a whole bunch of smoke, and I know something's going to be shown. I can feel it. All my spiritual system is just firing off. And then I only have my son to ask to take the picture, and I know he's the one that's supposed to anyway. But I'm a little afraid to ask him, right? Because I'd been so different. You don't want to have to ask your child, hey, can you take a picture of air? I know Mama's so different. Mama's so different. And now I'm wearing all these oils and I got a head cloth on. I need you to take a picture of air. You just don't want to do that when your son's going through some rough teenage moments. But I did do that. And I was like trepidatious. Divine orchestration is just that. My son grabs the camera. We're sitting outside, and he sits probably 30 feet away from me. And he said, what am I taking a picture of? Yeah, I don't know. Just close your eyes and pick up the camera, and wherever it wants to stop, just click the button, is literally what I say. And he's shaking his head like, oh, Mama. But that's what he does. And I get up all the smoke, and I don't know what's going to appear, so I'm just getting up all the smoke and doing the thing, right? Well, we go to walk in, and my gut's screaming. Whatever that it was didn't get captured. And now I'm afraid to ask again, because it was already kind of a big deal. And my gut is screaming, it didn't get captured. You got to do it again. But I don't even have to say anything, because my son at the age of 14, says, I don't think it got captured. Re-grabs the phone, goes, sits back over across the yard. I see him fumbling with it, closes his eyes, does what I asked. We finish, we walk in. Yeah, I get up all the smoke and stuff again, and he hands it back to me. It's on a frames per second, which is more like a movie reel. And this is actually a good example of humility, like a moment where I just got socked with humility and just like not trying to override the divine orchestration, right? And where I got put really in check. So I look down at the phone and I start getting all rough, like, it's supposed to be a photo. It's not supposed to be a frames per second. And my son looked at me and he said, I did exactly what I was meant to do. And I'd never heard that or seen that or felt that kind of countenance out of my son so much that it
Took you aback.
It took me aback, and I was like, yes, of course. And that's where I got a real wake-up call to letting things be in flow. And that what I think or want in this time with my skin suit is only that. And it's not necessarily the highest and greatest good, and to allow for that. So I got a real wake-up call then. Anyway, month goes by, and we're at a place in the Hollywood Hills, and there's a big screen. And my son says, hey, remember that day where I took pictures of the smoke and stuff? And I said, yeah. He said, let's put that up. And I'm like, yeah, you do all that electronic stuff. So he's hooking up the laptops and the big screen, all that stuff. And he's like, what do you think's going to show up? I said, I don't know. I have no idea. And so we're sitting there on the couch and we're watching. And you see the smoke go up, and you see the first horse appear. And then you see the second horse appear. And I mean anatomically beyond accurate. You cannot mistake this. This isn't one of those, hey, I took a mushroom and this is what I saw. My son and I are sitting there, jaws on the floor, and then we're watching the horses go like this because it was on the frames per second, and they're coming from an upper elevation down to a lower elevation. And he's like, Mama, those are horses. I'm like, those are horses. And my gut was screaming how symbolic it was, but I still didn't understand for a while. So he's rewinding, and we're watching again. And then the horses dissipate, reforms into a Native American weather vane. Fast forward, I was almost afraid. I put up a website with some of these photos. After I put up a website with some of these photos is when a lot of interesting things happened in my life, where the threats and the hunting went parabolic. Is when I was just like announcing to people what time it is, and there's love and there's care. I didn't realize that supernatural photos showing what time it is for humanity, and then sending them to the United Nations and to the Vatican and to these government organizations to help wake them up so we can get the show on the road as peacefully as possible. I didn't know that I was stirring up some hornet's nests in some places. Because I didn't know anything about that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, well, they'll be happy. Oh, they'll be happy. And that was my naivete. Mm-hmm. And also, there are honorable men and women in all these organizations, too. So I posted the pictures with the exception of the white horses. I knew that one was too symbolic. Even though I was like afraid to research it. But I just knew, not that one. Like all the other ones I put up to a great degree, but not that one. A few years later, I'm at an Airbnb. And my son and I are renting an Airbnb. I'm renting my house to make some little money on the scratch, right? And we go on these little mini vacations. And we're in this woman's house. And the house is nice. It's pretty, like flower pictures and stuff everywhere. She comes home. We checked in before she got home. She and I have a thing. Instantly, we have a thing. And we end up talking, and she tells me, after a little while, we're out there with some cloves, and she tells me that she was a missionary, grew up with missionaries, and she actually has a lot of artifacts, holy artifacts, and the second story of her home is a museum for holy artifacts. okay, I didn't know any of this. So I'm sitting there, and my face is like yours, right? And I said, can I ask you a question? Because I hadn't really talked to people about my journey at this point. Like I said, it was very tumultuous, very traumatic. And then when we really started showing things and I published things, it got sketchy for my family and I for a while, and for others who were watching out for us. So again, very highly documented. So I said, you know a lot about symbolism, right? And I'm nervous and I'm like talking like this. And she said, yes, I would like to think that I do. It's kind of been my life's work. And I said, I have a photo of a white horse. And she looks at me and she says, do you have the photo with you? And I said, yes, I knew to bring it for some reason. It's in my suitcase. So I go and I get the still shot of the frames per second. I show it to her. She gets up and she walks out of the room. And I'm thinking, I've done it. People think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She didn't, like I've just upset her. She's going to ask us to leave. She walks back in with a poster of the White Horses of Revelation.
What?
And it was in plastic. And I said, why do you have that? She said, I picked it up right before I came home tonight. I said, what? And the photo I'm holding and the photos of the White Horses of Revelation look exactly the same anatomically.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like this. I'm like, how do you have that? She said, my friend wanted me to get this printed like 4 months ago.
Oh
She
my.
said, and I got so busy and stuff. And then she called me this week and said, you must print it this week. It's very important. She like got it in spirit that she must print them this week. And so she did, and she picked it up right before she met me.
Wow.
And I'm like this, and she's like this, and we're just,
Wow.
And then there was about 30 minutes of silence. And I said, what do you think that means? Or no, I said, what do you think the chances are? That's what I said. I said, what do you think the chances are? And she said, about a white horse in the sky chance, Robbin. And that's when I understood a little more.
Oh.
But that's when I had the knowledge of a little more. Here's the other thing about this, and this is actually to give grace to everyone. All of you, to those who are leaders, to those in different groups, those that are trying, those that are helping have podcasts, or that are doing really anything to try to help the ascension process with knowledge dripping through this enslavement. And it's cracking, it's already happening. There's a difference between knowledge and understanding. And there's mountains and continents of difference between understanding and accepting. And then there's still planets away from accepting and embracing. So wherever you are in your stage, that's where you are, you'll get to embracing. Maybe not with feet in this time, but you'll get there. And it's a thing of grace. And it's a thing of grace. It's a thing of grace, thank you, for your brothers and sisters too. Just to have knowledge of something doesn't mean you have acceptance of it or embracing of it. Sometimes that takes time. And prayer and other things help with that. So that's the photo of the white horses.
Wow. So I think I need to let my audience know that this is actually the first of many of these interviews with this beautiful being that sits next to me, to share so much about what has been happening with her. We want to delve into more of the transfiguration and that.
Yes.
And then just to let you know, if you are hooked on all of this, I suggest you stay tuned again for our show, because this is something that is going to take at least, I would say, 14 segments to be able to put this fully on camera and document it for her and for all of us, and guide you into this journey that we are on, like it or not, because I've been studying a great deal lately about the quantum field, quantum mechanics, and that ties into everything that we're part of right now, because we're operating from our state of being, like it or not. That is what really is happening. And as we evolve, the state of being shifts and changes. And so to be able to document and to be able to take the journey with you, because, as you said, you know, we started out thinking we're just a regular human being, and then things happen that reveals something much different and how elevated. And, you know, this is, I assume, what ascension looks like. And it does matter that we bring as many people into that realm of possibility, so that the painful aspects of what it can go through are diminished, and the inspiration of where we're going is amplified. Gee, that was not...
That's beautifully
That was
said.
pretty good, huh?
That's beautifully said.
You're just contagious, that's all.
That's beautifully said. Do you want me to go back to the transfiguration?
Yes, please.
Okay, so...
Because we were not sure what was going to be captured on camera today, and if something like this might occur or not. But please explain to our audience, because this is something that you're going to want to be watching for. Okay.
Yes, so it's kind of like the full Monty moment, right? So all respect and care, please. This is a historic thing to come on camera and transfigure and talk about these things in this kind of way, and one that has wanted to not be the case and highly prevented for a long time, for this to look a different way. But there's what we want, and then there's the circumstances we have, and there's the heart to keep stepping through them. So normally my voice isn't even this shaky or anything like that. But this is the first time I've done this on camera. So throughout the series of interviews, you will see me change shape. You will see my eyes change shape. I will look different nationalities. I will look different. My eye color will change. Everything will change. I can look different nationalities multiple times throughout the day. This is not a reptilian shape-shifting. This is, no offense to reptiles, this is not a demonic or something like that. That's not what this is. What I have is the holy gift of transfiguration, for fact. And with this gift, I can look different depending on who's looking at me. There's tons of witnesses to this. There's witnesses all over to this. It's documented in pictures, it's documented in videos, it's documented by people who run companies, who've seen things, who are willing to go on camera. Now, it's not a cool trick or anything like that. It actually, I don't control it where I leave feet. It's controlled where I don't, based on what you need to see or what needs to be shown. It's the holy gift of transfiguration, just coming through your screens. And it's time you know. That's it. It's time you know that the plan to exterminate most of the planet and leave everyone else enslaved and without food, no. The plan to keep hurting children and not taking care of the most innocent of these days are coming to a close. The plan where you wake up and you have hope with teeth, and for good reason, these are the days you're already stepping into. This is the resonance. This is the coherence, should your heart choose it. And it's this time. And so for this time, I am one of the speakers bringing you this information with the gift of transfiguration and a lot of spiritual math to back it up. So that's what's going on. So any thought that you're alone, you've never been alone. Just this hacked up enslavement world has told you so. You've never been alone. You're always together and you're always loved. And that's always been the thing. So from time to time, if beings need to come down and show in certain ways to help wake you up, to remind you, such as that. And in this time, it's unprecedented all over the planet. For you are loved. Iefos, Iefos, Iefos.
My dear, I think that is the way we want to close this segment, with that brilliant way that you've introduced what you represent, and certainly an invitation for everyone to make sure that they continue to watch as we evolve into the understanding of what she represents, and inviting you into that same, perhaps you are one yourself, perhaps we are coming as a group. We are here to discover that. There are lots of things that I know I still want to explore with you, and we're able to present documentation because I think that is so critically important that we do have that. And we certainly thank the Humankind Center. We are here in their studio. John Strayer has been so gracious with everything that he's making available to us so that we can continue to bring these programs to you. I am highly privileged to be with you. I cannot thank you enough for being on my show and for becoming who you are. Yeah. Yeah.
Bless you, man.
Yeah.
And mahalo for watching.
That's our show for today. Take good care. Come see us again. Bye-bye. Oh my goodness.
That was beautiful.
Wasn't that
That was
fun?
so beautiful.
Yes,
That was so
I know.
beautiful.
Oh, sweetheart. Wow.
Thank you for making
Yeah.
that way easier.
Oh, honey. My goodness. I mean, you bring it. That's all I can say. You do. And you really are like this opening to be more of who we are. That's what
Thank
it's
you.
about, you know. Thank you for everything that you suffer, and you know, we want to support you in whatever way we can, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, now I know I just love you to pieces. I mean, I did before, but this has been really exceptional.